And we are doing something new.
That intro makes me want to take a shot of whiskey and slam the glass down on the table. And
Super aggressive.
yeah, I'm getting ready to take care of some shit, and that shit is helping you guys be mentally healthy and know your self-worth.
Yeah, with aggressiveness.
Aggressive.
I love it. So we're not actually doing an episode. There's no emails today in this thing. I don't know how long it's going to take us. We literally stopped watching the premiere of episode 18 just to try to get a little bit of record time in because there was things that both of us seen today that we want to talk about.
Yeah.
So this isn't an episode. This is literally just you and I having a conversation and recording the shit.
Yep.
I do have a little bit of house cleaning that I want to do first. We still have a few t-shirts left on tobebetter.co if you guys are interested in shirts. The blah, blah, blah communication shirts are almost completely sold out. The check-in shirts, we still have probably half the order. So like there are still those shirts. There is a new option on Discord to pay for the year when you guys sign up so that you can pay for the entire year in one shot. So you don't have to worry about being monthly billed if you want.
Paying on Patreon, not Discord.
Patreon. Yes, Patreon. Sorry. Our Discord hit 500 people today.
Just hit 500 people like 5 minutes ago.
Yep. Channel is growing. Community is growing. Things are growing. I'm super excited about all of that. So I just wanted to touch on those things before we got into everything. I feel like there was something else, and if it comes to me, we will discuss it. But right now, it's not there.
Okay.
I want to do yours first because I need to process my thought pattern a little bit before I get into what I was going to say. Otherwise, I'm going to be an asshole.
Okay. So I'm going to pull it back up just so I'm not incorrect in what I call it. So right now in South Korea, there is a movement called the 4B movement. And it popped up on my TikTok last night and I went down a rabbit hole. Mm-hmm. Apparently, men in Korea are just collectively pieces of shit. They're leaving
North or South?
South Korea.
Okay.
There's webcams being hidden in public restrooms, changing rooms, everywhere. There is revenge porn going on, so they're leaking nudes after breakups or taking videos without the woman being aware and then posting it after the fact.
I'm glad that you clarified that because I've never heard that term before.
Yeah. That happened to me.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I had someone post a bunch of my shit to Cornhub.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm going to cut that out because I don't want people looking for you on there.
It's gone.
Okay.
Yeah, I was getting ready to take them to court.
Good.
So that's happening. Check it out. It's crazy. And collectively, women have decided we are not going to tolerate this anymore. The birth rate has dropped to like 0.78% for South Korea. They're not getting into relationships. They're not getting married. They're not dating. So if women in South Korea are no longer tolerating the standards that are happening, they shut that shit down. Women hold the power.
Right. Do you know what the birth rate here is?
I do not. Let me Google that real quick.
While you're looking that up, we talked in episode 18, maybe, one of the recent episodes that we recorded, we talked about the standard of men in America being the way that they are because women tolerate the bullshit.
Right.
And the women who have the high body counts that fuck on the first dates, that swipe and just let men smash and go.
Yeah, I just said that in episode 18.
It was 18.
Yeah,
okay.
You guys, the women who tolerate that are ruining it for the rest of the women.
Right.
Because men are now acclimated to where, well, if you're not going to put out on the first date, I have 3 other women who know.
Yep.
Yeah, who will do that. So birth rate in America is 1.64% per woman.
Okay.
And in South Korea, it's 0.78%.
So ours was what again?
1.64.
Okay, so it's 1.5 kids per woman here.
Right.
And it's less than one there.
They're not even having children.
That's crazy.
Good for them. We, as a gender, women as a gender, have a lot of complaints towards men.
Mm-hmm.
But we, the only thing I can think to say is we greenhouse it. We keep it captive, but we allow it to happen. We are growing.
You're cultivating.
We're cultivating. We are gardening this mindset that men have. And it's your homegirls. It's your best friends. It's your cousins. It's your sisters. But you don't say anything because you don't want to hurt feelings.
Right.
And those women who allow that to happen, why are men so shitty? Because we don't think, but we allow them to think it's okay.
Right.
Because we don't want to be alone. We want to feel loved. We can't handle being single. We want a sugar daddy. We want a man who's going to pay for everything for us so we don't have to work, so we tolerate it. Put your foot down. Say, I'm not going to accept this. I am a human being and I am a woman. I deserve respect. And if a man is not willing to give that to you, Don't date him. Don't put out. Don't hope he's going to get better. Oh, I can fix him.
Yeah, you damn sure ain't changing nobody.
No.
What will happen is that the behavior of men will change when the results of our behavior from women dictate that change.
Right.
So, and I've talked about this a lot on the podcast. It used to be that a man who lived at home with his mama that didn't have a job and didn't have any real goals in life wasn't getting a woman. Like, he wasn't getting play. They would go on a date and he'd be like, oh, I live at home with my mom. And she'd laugh his ass right the fuck out the door. And there would never be anything more than that because there were standards that needed to be had.
Right.
Now there's no standards and there's no expectations of long-term relationships because it is just about the swipe culture.
It is.
And there's no real issue in terms of body count anymore. Women want to do the same things that men are doing, thinking that everyone's even across the playing field, and it just doesn't work that way. And whether you agree with it or you don't, society says it doesn't fucking work that way. And it's because of the way things are going. So now that it's going to another extreme where men don't have to worry about any of that accountability, it doesn't matter if they've got a good job. It doesn't matter if they can take care of their kids. It doesn't matter if they're anything other than...
It doesn't matter if he calls you a bitch during an argument.
Right.
It doesn't matter if he raises his voice or throws something at you. It doesn't matter if he repeatedly cheats on you, if he's sexting other women, thirst trapping on Facebook, liking things on Instagram, because he will tell you, oh, it's not that big of a deal.
Right.
And you're like, oh, okay, it's not that big of a deal. You ignore your own feelings and allow a man to walk on you.
I think it's deeper than that. I do think it's deeper than that. I think that even in that, like that, all of that is because we are told that if you set boundaries, you're controlling. And it's not just us that are told that. Women are told that. Women tell other women that if you set standards and boundaries of who you're supposed to be and what you will or will not accept, you're a controlling person. So now it's not even okay to have standards anymore. You're supposed to just go with the herd, follow the sheep, and do all of that nonsense. And then you wonder why your life is in fucking shambles. You're 40 years old and you're a crazy Catwoman with no real relationships because there's no sustenance in who you are as a person.
I am not going to be a meek woman. I'm not going to be a woman who's going to sit down and be quiet and let shit happen to her. I'm not that person anymore. I was that person for a very long time, and my life was... It was not it. Every day I hated waking up.
Yeah.
And I finally stood up for myself. And I set standards, and I have the most amazing man in my life who gives me everything I could ever want. Not just monetarily, like spiritually, the way that you feed me, the way that you handle me emotionally, the way you make me feel loved. I never thought I would ever receive that in my life. And it's because I started hurting feelings. Because I preserved my own.
You know how good it feels to hear you say shit like that? It makes me feel like, I'm trying to think of how to word this to make it actually convey what I'm thinking. There is an honor in knowing that you have such like integrity and such high standards in you because I have you. Mm-hmm. And knowing that you have that standard and you are that bitch, like, for a lack of a better term, trying to be a little bit comedic here. Obviously, I don't feel like, anyways. And I have you and you submit to me. What does that say about my quality of character? Because if I was a piece of shit and you were that person, you wouldn't fucking submit to me. We wouldn't have the serve each other mindset.
I wouldn't be here.
Right. It's a lot for me, like, to really, because I know how I view you.
Right.
To know that you are that person and you are here. It does make me feel very good about who I am as a man. And it lets me know that I'm doing the right thing, because otherwise I would not have a woman of your stature.
Right. I'm glad that makes you feel good. It makes me feel like you don't take any of it for granted.
I absolutely don't.
Or that you expect it.
I have come to expect it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of the amount of time.
Well, it's a standard at this point.
Right. The amount of time that we have had together, the life experiences that we have shared, and the roles that we have developed is my normal.
Yeah.
So I do expect it. If something starts to fall apart and I notice that these things are happening, I'm not going to get shitty about it. I'm going to try to figure out the root of why things have changed, but it is an expectation of all of this now, because this is what our life is.
Right.
And I also think that having that and realizing that it is an expectation is beneficial to us, because I expect a lot now. Like, we both do.
Right.
And if one of us falls short, we are there to pick each other up, because we're aware of those expectations not being met.
I'm going to continue to aggressively love people until they see their self-worth.
Yeah.
I wasn't kidding in the beginning of this. Seeing that movement happen in Korea, knowing that it's possible, it is feasible, that it's something that can happen to evoke change Why aren't we doing it? As a gender, as women, why are we tolerating men who treat us like garbage and just go back because he says that he loves us?
You know that in order for that movement to happen here, Western women are going to have to change who they are and what they believe is societally acceptable.
Yeah, they're not ready to do that.
Because all of like the Whatever podcast and the Fresh and Fit and all those women that go on those podcasts, they will never allow a movement like that to happen here because they're part of the problem.
Right.
Their actions are throwing jet fuel on the flames.
That's disappointing, disheartening.
Yeah. I didn't know that was a thing. I've never heard of that movement. I don't follow. I follow politics to an extent, but both sides of the political parties piss me off so much that I have a hard time paying attention to it past a certain point.
Yeah.
Because all I see is tyranny across the board. So like, I don't do the news. I get my shit from TikTok, and because I hate TikTok so much, I don't really spend a lot of time doing the For You page thing. And I've cultivated my page so much that it's just Christian content at this point. I can't even find things to react to on TikTok because my content is so cultivated.
Mm-hmm.
It took a little over a year to not get thirst traps. I don't get thirst traps at all. At all. I'll get the occasional woman working out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to see that.
Yeah.
I'm not on TikTok to learn how to weight train.
Yeah, it's taken me about a year to filter out the men thirst trapping, like that lumberjack dude who only wears suspenders. He's chopping wood. It's taken me about a year to filter that out.
How much money do you think he makes on TikTok?
Oh my God.
Because we're on the Creator Beta program. We know the kind of money that you make on views.
He's probably making a month with the amount of views that he's getting. Maybe 80,000.
That's insane.
Yeah.
My cough drop is starting to like become gooey and it's sticking to my teeth.
Yeah. Should not buy those again?
Okay.
Okay.
Because it makes I have
crowns.
yeah.
I didn't think about that when I bought them. I'm sorry.
I just have to find a place to put it that it can dissolve now without sticking to my crowns.
I was thinking that it would coat your throat.
It does. They fucking work. Those work way better than Halls. Like I ate one last night and the coughing stopped.
Yeah.
I'm good. It works. So do you have anything else that's new that you want to discuss before I get into that? Because
no, not particularly.
do you know if their birth rate is less than 8.8%, it was like 0.7 something.
Right.
Do you know how bad that's going to destroy their economy in the next 15 years?
Oh, terribly. Yeah. I think they're going to start seeing repercussions in about 8 to 10 years.
Probably because those babies that would be being born at that point.
There's going to be a massive gap.
There absolutely will be, and they're going to see it first in their economy in terms of consumerism.
Mm-hmm.
But as those workers would be coming into the workforce and there's no workforce, it's going to make things very difficult for that country's economic socio status to
tear down the patriarchy.
It's wild. Well, I don't believe there is a patriarchy. I don't believe in that. I believe there was at one point. I absolutely believe there was. But at this point, fathers aren't in the home anymore.
Are you meaning
in
America
the true
itself,
definition
or?
of patriarchy? A system of society or government in which the father or eldest male is head of the family and descent is traced through the male line. A system of society or government in which men hold the power and women are largely excluded from it.
So what's happening in Korea, I would say, is a patriarchy.
Right.
Those dudes who are getting caught with the shit that they're doing to women, like putting cameras in toilets, are getting fines.
This is a society or a community of organized on patriarchal lines. So yeah, that whole idea of that the man is the head of the household and the family, men would have to be in the household.
Right.
They would have to be prevalent in the lives of women for the patriarchy to actually exist. It's not a thing anymore. Marriages are defunct. People don't, it's not forever until the end anymore. It's forever.
Until I'm bored.
We're forever until you get on my fucking nerves and then I'm gonna find, or until somebody better comes along.
Yeah.
You're a placeholder. You are nothing more than a fucking bookmark in the story of someone else's life. I don't believe in the patriarchy. I think that's a fucking buzzword, just like all the other buzzwords. And I'm going to use one of those buzzwords today.
Okay.
And it's the most hated buzzword that I have, but I'm going to hurt some feelings because of the TikTok thing.
Yeah.
This morning, we had major thunderstorms last night, and I got up while it was raining and went and did the bank run and went to the post office and did all that shit while you were having your morning sleep in, which was nice for you and your workout. So like we were killing two birds with one stone. And it's raining.
It's raining again, yeah.
I was at a stoplight, and I always check. I check my numbers, I check your numbers, and I check Jeff's numbers because I want to see where when he gets to 1,000.
I haven't checked him yet.
He was at like 968 this morning. He's so fucking close to 1,000. We talked about, was it episode 18? I don't think it was. We talked about a TikTok on one of our episodes where a woman asked a man on Easter to help around the house, to help clean the house up so that they can do Easter.
Right.
And he went outside and started cutting the grass and weed eating and doing anything. He's riding his lawnmower.
Which is logical because of egg hunts and barbecuing.
Right.
Everybody's gathering outside because that's where the most space is.
Right. But because he didn't do what she wanted him to do without telling him what she wanted him to do, she got mad and started bashing him on TikTok. And she's filming him through the window and he's cutting grass and he's smiling and he's waving and he feels like he's fucking doing a thing, right? And she's inside ripping him apart on TikTok. We talked about that, and then we talked about being direct. You have to ask men or tell men what you want them to do because
they can't read your mind.
We see things differently.
Right.
You know what we, you know, and I, when I heard that he was cutting the grass, I said that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because if the kids are here and Easter's happening, we're having an Easter egg hunt. And if your grass is fucking 8 inches tall, it's going to be really hard for little kids 2, 3, 4, 5 years old to fucking find shit. So cutting the grass down and making sure that your yard is in order so that all of the kids and cousins can come over and do that is logical. And we had that conversation, but I went to your video just to see the kind of comments that were going on. And I screenshotted a couple of the comments. I want to read them because it's fucking people, man. One of the comments said, how does one adult know what needs doing, but the other doesn't? You deep breathed.
I did.
Go ahead.
Because if one person is in charge of coordinating everything and the other person is waiting in the back to be told what to do, that's what's happening.
Right.
If there's one person in correspondence with everybody who's coming over and that one person has the need to be in charge, so they're planning everything, how is that person supposed to know?
Right. I screenshotted. I was looking for just one comment, but I'm going to read the contrast in here because I want to make a point about people's marriages. This person directly above that comment said, my husband would not help do a single thing if I complained about what he was doing. Help is help, no matter what the task is.
Yep.
Right? The gratitude goes a long fucking way. We talked about that hard in episode 18.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody said, the conversation I had with my boyfriend this morning, I asked for his time. He's like, well, wait for payday. I just want your time, but maybe ... I didn't even expand that comment. If you want his time, you miss him. That's the conversation that needs to be had. I miss you, not I want your time. And if he said, wait for payday, maybe he's got a date planned.
Right.
All right. So
before you keep going.
Okay.
People really need to work on their phrasing of their wants. If you think you're being direct and they don't respond in the way that you were expecting them to, you're not being direct.
Right. They don't get it.
Say it in another way. And someone could say that this is babying or whatever. It's not. It's communicating.
Right.
When you are talking with a child who is learning to speak, you are gentle with them because they don't understand how. I would say 99% of this population is traumatized in some kind of way. When they come out of an abusive situation and they're free to roam the world, they have nobody guiding them. They have nobody mentoring them. So when they get into a relationship, it requires patience.
Right.
And with that patience comes a kind tone and a gentle understanding. It's not fucking babying. It's being a decent human being.
Right. So this next comment said, I think it should be pretty commonplace now that guys need specifications. Not all guys need specifications, but some need specifications. I think it's pretty safe to say that everybody needs specifications.
Yeah.
Okay. Next comment said, yeah, but sometimes you ask him to help clean the house and he goes out and power washes the damn sidewalk. Like, come on, man, that's intentional. Is it?
He's cleaning the outside of the house to make it presentable.
Right. Knowing that needs to be done and it's an outside job, therefore it's his duty to make sure the outside of the house is clean, so he's doing his job. If you needed the inside of the house clean, like the bathroom, say, hey, can you clean the bathroom? Not, can you help me clean the house up? Because he has chores just like you do. Has he ever asked you to go outside and pressure wash the sidewalk or the house or the driveway? Does he ask you to change the oil on the cars? Like, he has responsibilities as a man that is supposed to be handled, and he sees this as him helping. That's very normal.
I couldn't imagine living in that mindset. That just screams misery and negativity.
Right. So
too much.
Those were just the two of many of those comments, and I just screenshotted them at the light real quick so that we can talk about this. Anybody, you guys are so fucked up the way that you think. Not everyone, but people who have that mindset. And I want to break it down for you. For those of you who have never read The Blind Man and the Elephant, you need to read that book. We don't see things the same way. Mm-hmm. Perception is reality. So the way that I view the world and the way that you view the world are two very different things. And this goes across the board. And if you think that everyone views the world the way you do, you're a fucking narcissist.
Yeah.
And I fucking hate that word so much, but by definition, you are the center of the fucking universe. If you don't believe that people see things differently, we would not have a difference of religion. We would not have a difference of politics. We would not have racism and bigotry and fucking fat phobia and obese people. And we would have a hive mind across the board where everyone sees everything exactly the fucking same and there would never be a disagreement.
Yep.
For you to assume that your partner sees the world exactly as you see the world and you are too unguided and selfish to recognize that he is an individual or she is an individual person and you're getting mad about them trying to help you, you are literally getting mad because you view you as more important than they view the situation. Right. Now that I've actually just called people narcissists and I want to wash my mouth out with soap, because I do, that is a true definition of what narcissism looks like. So just because somebody does something you don't like doesn't make them a narcissist. That is narcissistic behavior.
Right.
On top of that, another buzzword that I fucking hate so much, you are controlling. You are getting mad at your person for not meeting the standards that you refuse to verbalize because you have an expectation of your mental game that they're supposed to telepathically understand what you're going on and what you're asking them to do and then doing it. And then you're getting mad at them. So now you're guilt tripping them. You're playing the victim and you're trying to make them be the villain so that they have to come in, beg and plead to figure out what the fuck is wrong because they feel like they just did something to help you, only for you to then bitch and complain and make them do something else because you are in control of everything. You don't control anyone in the world other than yourself. You view your partner and your children with ownership. Mm-hmm. You see them as something that belongs to you, especially if you're married.
Yep.
And you try to make them do the things that you don't want to do or try to make them do things that they don't want to do instead of just letting them live their lives. When you give the opportunity for someone to make you happy and you view it from a positive standpoint, you always get positive results because that is your perception of the situation. Kids don't understand a lot until they get older and they have to have life experiences and phrases have to be cemented into their brains so when they say it, they understand it. It's no different than when you tell your kid to stop what they're doing and put something down. If you say, don't touch the hairbrush or put the hairbrush down, it takes them a minute to understand what the fuck you were saying. But if you say stop, they stop because they know that fucking word, just like they know the word no. You have to work on your communication skills across the board. Not everyone is going to see the world the way that you see things. You're not going to have the same values. You're not going to have the same interests. You're not going to have the same quality of what is important to you in life. When you marry somebody, you are accepting that that person is an individual. The moment you try to dictate their life and control them, your marriage is down the drain. Roommate phase is going to happen. Intimacy is lost. You're going to fucking destroy your relationship. And yet you can have a relationship with your best friend for 45, 50 years and everything is perfectly great because you're not going to try to control them. You're going to ask them, hey, can you help me with something? In specific, hey, can you help me move on Sunday at noon? I got beer and pizza. Yeah, I got you. No, I can't. I don't want to help. You're not going to get mad if they say no. You're going to find somebody else to help. You're going to pay movers. But you want to be vague with your partner. I want you to go, the house is filthy. And then get mad when they don't clean. Or get, an indescriptive scenario where they're not able to meet the standards that you haven't verbally set and then get mad because you're trying to control them. Mm. You're the problem in those situations. You are the fucking problem. It's not your partner. And if you're not willing to take the accountability and start working on your view of the world and understanding the way the human brain works and understanding your partner, You deserve every foul thing that's going to happen in your marriage because you created that problem. I was on one this morning over that. That's how my brain works.
Yeah.
I know that I'm not the smartest man in the world. Like I'm really not. I understand things to the best of my understanding. And when I don't get something, we will talk about it. You'll read it to me. I'll fucking research it on YouTube, however it's got to go so that I can really understand it. But my search of growth and my search of being better is so high that I don't accept less. So if in a situation where we're doing something and I start getting frustrated with you, we stop what we're doing and we try to figure out where the frustration is coming from. And then we try to work through it. And I'm reading self-help books and I'm watching things on YouTube to try to better my life. I don't watch TV. We watch Forged in Fire and like Curse of Oak Island to fall asleep to at nighttime, or like background noise when we're doinking. We don't watch television like that. The TV doesn't go on until 6 o'clock at night, ever. Ever. And that's only when the kids are here, because at nighttime when we, it's 10 o'clock by the time we turn the TV on.
Yeah.
We are constantly looking for evolution for ourselves, and the more we grow and learn, the easier our life is becoming. Because this shit's not taught.
No, it's not. I want to go back to what you were talking about. Like, wife asks for help around the house, dude goes outside and pressure washes. In that instant, you need to recognize that you failed to communicate what you wanted him to do.
Yep.
So instead of walking out there and complaining about what he's doing, say, hey, babe, that looks super good. When you're done, do you think you can knock out the bathroom? That's it.
Yep.
And in the ideal scenario, he'd be like, I got you, babe. 10 more minutes and I'll be in there. Or it's going to be, I can do that when I'm done because I have to X, Y, and Z after this.
Right.
But I'll get to the bathroom. It's not hard.
Yep.
It's not hard to not be a shitty human being. If you get frustrated, do not go and talk to your partner in the midst of your frustration, because you're going to take it out on them. It's going to change the dynamic of your relationship.
Right. And that frustration, go ahead, I'm sorry.
When you get into a relationship, you start on one line and then you hit a pebble and you swerve. So instead of going on this trajectory, you're now on this trajectory. And then there's another pebble and you swerve again. And you wonder, after so many swerves, how did we get here when we started here?
Right.
Because every little pebble that you could have just ridden over made you swerve. You guys need to keep your shit in check.
That scenario of getting mad that he's pressure washing and not doing the bathroom, there are a lot of things in that I want to touch on. The first one is that the correct scenario would have been saying, I need you to clean the bathroom, not can you help me clean the house?
Right.
Be specific. The other thing is you said that instead of going out there and freaking out on your partner and making a big deal about it, that he's not doing what you want, you are then getting mad at him for your failure to articulate what you need.
And that's creating issues when there's none.
Right. It's your fault that didn't happen because you were not fucking clear on what you were asking them to do.
In instances like that where somebody gets mad at somebody else because that person failed to communicate, are you just insecure in yourself as a human being? Are you too weak to recognize that you've made a mistake? So you need to take your anger out on somebody else because you can't face who you are as a person? I'm
willing to bet most of those people don't even realize it's their fault. Accountability is such a rare commodity that,
I don't understand that.
I don't either.
I know I used to be that person. I used to avoid accountability like it was a fucking rattlesnake. But now, after living in my mindset for the last 3 years, I can't imagine doing that again.
Yep.
Once that clicks in your mind and you unlock that door to accountability, your whole perception and everything changes and you can never go back to that other mindset.
I think that's why you and I don't watch TV very much. I really do. Because when we watch movies, when we actually go to the movie theater and have date nights, we talk shit about the movie the entire time. Because you see all the plot lines and you see the fucking nonsense that's going on. And the movies are super predictable. You know what's going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
You can see things unfolding just because you understand
psychology,
human nature. Right.
Yeah.
And it does make it very hard to watch TV shows because it's all fucking bullshit.
Yeah, it's less enjoyable now. And you can see how they're pandering to certain people.
Yeah. Yep. I want to get into a lot of other conversations on our channel. I really want to talk about the whole Bud Light thing that's going on right now. Not because it's a relevant topic and that it's trending, but
just the whole situation's crazy.
Right. But there's an economic standpoint there. And I really do want to have that conversations, but I don't want to have that conversation because I don't want to just follow trends and talk about news because I think that's done.
Chasing.
It's done. Yeah. I mean, people do that all the time. When we first started this channel, people kept wanting us to do Andrew Tate react videos. I'm I'm not fucking doing that. Dude's got his own YouTube channel. I'm not riding his dick to blow up. Like, we're gonna do what we're doing, and if we get success, great. And if we don't, we tried. Like, but that all of those channels, and you see it every time I log on YouTube. I see more videos and more creators getting on that bandwagon and having those discussions. And my discussions are not going to be like all the creators that I see because my brain doesn't work like theirs. So when I'm breaking things down, like the Bud Light thing, I'm looking at it from an economic standpoint. It's just wild to me. That whole situation's wild to me.
It's too much.
Well, you want to call it then? Because my stomach's growling. I'm hungry.
Okay.
All right, guys. We will catch you on the next one.
Bye, guys.